And I'm not just talking about you told somebody in traffic they were number one, just the wrong finger. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, there's more sin than that, right? Number one, everybody say number one. You were foreknown by God. You were foreknown by God to do God's will and fulfill God's purpose for your life. You were foreknown by God. That's an amazing thing. You know, in Jeremiah chapter 1, Jeremiah the prophet said, the Lord spoke to me and said, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you. And I set you apart. Before I ever formed you in your mother's womb, I set you apart to be a prophet for the nations. Foreknown. You're foreknown, and yet you have free will. That just means that God knew you would come to Him. How many of you are glad or you're aware that God wasn't surprised when you got saved, that God didn't look at Michael or Gabriel and say, I never saw that happening. Woo! I mean, God didn't look at His angels and say, you know, grace really is amazing. Now, I didn't expect that. You didn't shock God when you came to Him. Because you were foreknown, and yet you still had free will. You were foreknown, you weren't pre-programmed. But you were foreknown. You were foreknown by God to do God's will and fulfill God's purpose. That's good news. Yes, number two, you, somebody say you. You were born again, a new creation to do God's will and fulfill God's purpose. 2 Corinthians 5:17 said, if any man be in Christ, he is, not he's becoming, but he is. He is a new creation. Now in the Greek, there's a couple different words for new. One of them is neo, and neo means like recent. But the other word is the word kainos, and that's the word that's used here. Kainos means different in quality or kind. In other words, it's a different species. If any man be in Christ, he is a new kainos, different in quality or kind, a different species, creation in the likeness and image of God. In other words, when you got saved, you didn't get a fresh start. That's way too quiet. Let me say it another way. When you got saved, God didn't give you a second chance. Because if salvation is a second chance, you and I are doomed to failure. If salvation is a second chance, then you and I are doomed to rejection. Because you would mess up just like I would mess up. Let me make this personal. I would mess up the second chance. Has anybody here ever messed up since you got saved? Oh, lift your hand. Wave it, as a matter of fact. Put both of them up in the air. Wave both of them. If you're where you can do it, move your feet. Wave your feet too. You know what I'm talking about. You know, you messed up since you got saved. And I'm not just talking about you told somebody in traffic they were number one, just the wrong finger. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, there's more sin than that, right? So are you glad that salvation is not you getting a second chance, you getting a fresh start? No, when you were saved, you were born again. That means you were made anew in different quality or kind in the species and likeness of God Himself, because God is your Father. In your spirit. Now the problem is it's still housed in flesh. The flesh is where the problem is. But the spirit was made in the image of God Himself, the same image as Jesus. If we believed it, we'd be shouting. Now, I'm not trying to get you to shout. I'm just saying if you believed it, you'd be shouting. See, I thought about it this morning when I was praying. Because if you were to hear me pray most of the time in the mornings, The first 30 minutes. Now, I'm walking and I'm praying and all those things. I'm doing all that. But you would hear me say some of the same things over and over and over and over and over. I don't mean like Rain Man, but I mean I would say some of the same things over and over and over and over, right? Because it's a routine. And let me just tell you why. It dawned on me this morning. I thought because it's more important that we go deeper than it is that we go wider into new territory. You don't hit oil by going wider. My God, have mercy. You hit oil by going deeper, 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 deeper. The more I declare what I think I know, the more revelation I tap into about who He is and what He's already done for me and who He's made me to be.